I noticed my daughter acting strange around our neighbor. One night, I caught her sneaking back into the house crying. She said, "He told me not to tell." I called the police. What they found in his shed, right behind our fence, made me pull my family out of that house the same day. We moved to Maple Hill, Missouri, a few months after my wife died. I picked that town because it was quiet and cheap and no one knew us there. I needed somewhere to breathe. My daughter, Callie, was only 9. She'd been close with her mom. After the funeral, she stopped talking for a while. Wouldn't go to school. Wouldn't eat right. I thought maybe new walls, new streets, new air, maybe it would help. The house was old but solid. 1 story, 3 bedrooms, big backyard. The kind of place people stay in until they die. That was fine with me. I didn't want change anymore. Just peace. Our neighbor lived in the house behind ours. The fence between us was wood, about 6 feet high, but there were spots where it leaned or was missing slats. I saw the guy the first day we moved in. Older man, probably in his 60s. Skinny. Tanned like leather. He waved, walked over, introduced himself as Brent. Just Brent. Said he'd lived there 20 years. "Anything you need, you knock," he told me. His smile was tight, his eyes kind of empty. I didn't think anything of it. That was April. By June, I started noticing things. Callie stopped playing in the backyard. She used to love it, used to sit out there for hours drawing bugs or clouds or whatever. But then she started avoiding it. If I asked, she'd just shrug. "It's hot," she'd say. Or, "I'm tired." Once, I heard her crying in the bathroom after being outside for less than 10 minutes. She locked the door. When I asked what was wrong, she said, "Nothing. I just miss Mom." I believed her. Until that night. It was just past 1 a.m. I was up because the house was too quiet and the fan in my room clicked every time it spun. I got up to fix it, walked past Callie's room, and noticed her window was open. The curtain was fluttering. Her bed was empty. I didn't panic. Not right away. Thought maybe she went to the kitchen. But the house was dark and still. That's when I felt it, the cold fear that makes your stomach feel like it's dropping. I went outside. There was no wind. No crickets either. Just stillness. I looked toward the fence. Callie was standing there. In the dark. Her feet bare, her hair down. She was trying to climb through one of the broken slats in the fence. I ran to her. She froze. Her face was streaked with tears. Her shirt was inside out. "Callie," I said, too loud. "What the hell are you doing out here?"
She didn't speak.
I grabbed her arm, pulled her inside.
She didn't resist.
But she was shaking. Once we were in the living room, I knelt down in front of her.
"Talk to me," I said.
"Please." She looked away. Then she whispered, "He told me not to tell." My heart stopped. "Who?" She didn't answer. Just kept crying. I called the cops. The dispatcher took me seriously. I don't know if it was the way I said it, or if she heard something in Callie's voice when I handed her the phone. But within 20 minutes, there were 3 squad cars outside. They talked to Callie in the kitchen. I wasn't allowed to hear. She held her stuffed fox the whole time. One officer came out and asked me, "Is that green shed behind your fences?" I said yes. They didn't knock. They walked straight into Brent's backyard, guns drawn. One officer had bolt cutters. Another shouted something I couldn't hear. I watched from the window. Callie sat beside me, her knees pulled to her chest. They opened the shed. It took a minute. Then I heard yelling. Another officer came running out, vomiting into the grass. What they found in the shed, I still can't forget. Inside were 3 things that didn't belong to any grown man. A child's sleeping bag. A small pink backpack. It wasn't Callie's, but it looked just like the one she used to have back in 2nd grade. Same cartoon animal on it. Worn at the edges. And a camcorder. Old model. Still warm. They didn't let me see what was on the tape. They didn't let anyone. But I saw one of the younger officers, maybe mid-20s, walk away from the shed, sit down on the lawn, and start crying. He was shaking so hard, he dropped his flashlight. They arrested Brent that night. No questions. No explanations.
He didn't resist.
Didn't even ask what the charges were. Just stared straight ahead as they cuffed him and walked him to the car like he was going to the store. I tried to ask the officer, what was in there? What the hell did he do? But all he said was, "You don't want to know, sir. Get your daughter out of here." That's when I made the decision. Right there on the front porch, with the cop cars still parked across the lawn and the flashing lights turning my house red and blue. I went inside, packed 2 duffel bags. Woke Callie up again. Told her we were leaving. We didn't wait for morning. We drove to a motel 2 towns over. I paid in cash. I didn't sleep. Just sat on the edge of the bed and watched Callie curl up with her stuffed fox and try to pretend she wasn't scared. The next day, I got a call from the station. A detective. Female. Sounded tired. She said they needed me to come in. There were things I should know. That's when it started to come out. Brent wasn't just the neighbor. He wasn't even Brent. His real name was Michael Harris. He'd been using a fake name for years. He was a registered offender out of Oklahoma, had changed his name, moved states, slipped through a crack in the system. Nobody was watching him. He'd done this before. But here's where it got worse. Way worse. They found a box in the shed. It was buried under some tarps. Inside were photos. Dozens. Maybe more. Some were old and faded. Others were recent. One of the photos was of Callie.
Sleeping.
In our backyard. The photo was dated 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. That meant he had been sneaking into our yard, maybe even into our house. Asked the detective, how is that possible? How did nobody notice? How did he even get away with it? She didn't answer. Just said, we're investigating. You did the right thing calling us. But nothing felt right. I couldn't stop thinking about that night. About Callie sneaking out. About what she might have seen, or what might have happened before I caught her. And the scariest part?
She still won't tell me.
She just keeps saying, he said not to tell. He said it would hurt you. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I want to know. We stayed in that motel for over a week. I didn't want to go back to the house. Not even to pack. I sent a friend from work to grab what he could. He didn't ask questions. Just brought boxes to the motel parking lot, left them by my car, and left. During those days, Callie barely spoke. She wouldn't eat unless I sat with her. Wouldn't sleep unless I left the bathroom light on. She wouldn't let me out of her sight. If I left the room to get food, she'd sit right by the door until I came back. Asked her again, gently, what happened. What she meant that night. What he told me not to tell was about. She always gave the same answer. I don't want you to get hurt.
It haunted me.
The words, the way she said them, like she truly believed something bad would happen if she talked. I started to wonder if there was more than just Brent. Someone else? Something deeper? Then the detective called again. This time, her voice wasn't tired. It was careful. We need you to come down to the station, she said. There's something we didn't catch right away. She didn't say more over the phone. I brought Callie with me. They had someone watch her in another room, an officer she'd seen before, who brought her a juice box and a coloring book. The detective sat me down in a small, cold room and put a folder in front of me. She didn't open it right away. There's something in Brent's background we missed, she said. Something that wasn't in the usual records. She opened the folder. Inside were old court papers. Handwritten notes. A couple of black and white photos. One photo made my stomach drop. It was a woman. Young. Blonde. Looked like she was in her late 20s. Her eyes were wide, frozen in a way that told me this wasn't just a candid shot. She looked exactly like my wife. I stared at it.
Couldn't speak.
The detective said, this woman's name was Abigail Reese. She disappeared in 1993. Same town your wife grew up in. I looked again. It wasn't just someone who looked like her. It was her. It had to be. Same face, same eyes, same damn birthmark on the neck. But here's the thing, my wife never mentioned anything about that name. Never said she'd changed it. Never said anything about this man. And Brent, Michael, he wasn't charged with her disappearance. He was never even questioned. The detective leaned forward and said, "We think there's a connection. We don't know what yet, but we're going to dig. We need to know if there's anything your wife ever said, anything strange, any warning signs." But she'd never said a word. Not about that town. Not about a man named Michael Harris. Not even close. And now she was dead. And whatever connection she had to that man, whatever he did to her, or made her do, it was buried with her. I left the station shaking. I didn't tell Callie what I saw. Not yet. But something changed in me after that day. It wasn't just about protecting my daughter anymore. It was about finding out the truth. What really happened. What this man had been doing all these years. And why, somehow, it had all come back to us. I still don't know why he picked us, if it was by chance, or if it started with her all those years ago. I don't know what Callie saw in that shed, or what she was made to believe. She still won't talk about it. She just sleeps with the lights on and flinches when someone knocks. I moved us halfway across the country. New school. New names. But I can't unsee that photo. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if my wife ever knew he was still out there, or if she thought she'd outrun him. Maybe she did. Maybe I didn't.